Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the story of a business analyst who was dropped into a super high-stakes corporate world. We're going to see how they went from just managing data to actually driving fundamental change.
You know, this one idea is really at the heart of our whole story today. The best analysts, they don't just hand you a spreadsheet. They completely change the conversation. And our story kicks off with a brand new analyst stepping into a truly massive new role.
So I want you to imagine you're the hero of this story. You've just been hired as an analyst at a top fintech firm. And oh yeah, the company is smack in the middle of these huge strategic shifts. No pressure, right?
And the pressure is on from day one. I mean, you're reporting directly to a senior exec who's managing a budget of over 9 figures. So we're not just talking about a big number here. We're talking about a serious vote of confidence and a whole lot of expectations sitting right on your shoulders.
And your job title? Well, it's this new thing, a hybrid analyst. You're part classic business investigator, part technical data whiz. Now, that gives you a ton of freedom to make an impact, but it also means the job description is, let's say, a little fuzzy. It's on you to define your own value. But just because you have this amazing opportunity doesn't mean it's going to be an easy ride. Not at all. From the moment our analysts walked through the door, they were hit with a bunch of major interconnected roadblocks.
First up, there's this mountain of what's called data debt, basically an endless backlog of reports that someone has to maintain. Then you've got your audience, a critical council of C-suite execs and regulators who are watching every single number. Plus, you've got other expert teams who kind of feel like they already own the data. And the cherry on top, a lot of the math is dictated by law. There is absolutely zero room for error.
So, that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? In the middle of all this chaos and with expectations through the roof, how in the world do you cut through the noise and actually start making a difference? Well, the answer is in the strategy our analysts came up with. This wasn't just about trying to survive day to day. No, this was a clear, deliberate plan to build influence and create real value right in the middle of that storm. And the strategy itself was brilliant in its simplicity. It was a two-phase attack. Phase 1, master the present. That meant automating and perfecting every single report they were responsible for. This is how you build credibility. And, just as important, it's how you learn the business from the ground up. Then, and only then, could they move to Phase 2, shape the future, using that trust and knowledge to go on the offensive with proactive, high-impact analyses.
Okay, so you've got a strategy, but you still can't do everything at once. You have limited time, limited energy. You've got to make smart choices. You have to pick your battles.
This really meant fighting on 2 fronts. On one side, you could focus on making the existing stuff better. You know, making the regular reports easier to use, more accurate, with more relevant info. On the other side, you could go a little rogue. You could dive deep with custom, one-off analyses to find the kinds of opportunities or risks that the standard reports would never, ever show you.
So how do you decide what to work on? It all came down to a simple but super effective 3-part framework. First, actuality. You have to ask, is this a hot topic right now? Second, added value. Is this thing going to have a real long-term strategic impact? And finally, effort. You know, is the potential reward really worth the time and resources it's going to take? It's this constant balancing act between putting out today's fires and building something for tomorrow.
Now, let's get to the real revelation of this whole journey. This is the moment where our analyst starts to see past the spreadsheets and the dashboards and discovers the fundamental problem that they, and only they, are in a perfect position to solve.
This led to the real breakthrough moment. See, most analysts just update reports, but the truly great ones, they manage to pierce the fundamental problem. They see that their real job isn't about the data itself, but about solving a deep, systemic issue hiding within the organization. So what was this core problem? Well, the first half of it was alignment. In any big company, it's so easy for different departments to start pulling in slightly different directions. The analyst realized their true purpose was to use data as a kind of compass, to make sure every single team was pointed toward the same strategic North Star. And the second piece of the puzzle, just as important, is something called conciliation. Okay, so everyone's aligned on the big goals, great, but every team still has its own unique needs. So the analyst's job is to give each team the specific tools and systems they need to win while making sure they don't drift away from that core strategy.
It's about being centralized in your vision, but decentralized in how you get things done.
So what happens when you figure all this out? When you reach this level of insight? Well, it's a total game changer. It doesn't just change the business, it fundamentally changes your entire career path.
And this brings us to what might be the biggest lesson of this entire story. Your technical skills, they're just the ticket to get in the door. They're table stakes. What really separates an analyst from a future leader is strategic thinking. It's that genuine business acumen.
Because once you start solving these core business problems, these big, hairy challenges of alignment and conciliation, you're not just an analyst anymore. You become a strategic force. And that opens up a whole new world of career paths, whether it's in business leadership or even transitioning into something like product management.
And that's the final thought we want to leave you with. Take a hard look at the data work happening in your organization. Is it just a mirror reflecting what's already happened? Or is it a map, actively charting the course and shaping the future of where you're going?